In today's video, I want to talk about trading psychology. This is one of the most popular subject in the retail trading space, but I believe that psychology, not being disciplined, over trading, over leveraging, is very misunderstood by a lot of traders. And I am profitable today. I have not made a bad psychology decision in months. I have not made over trading, over leveraging, strategy hopping, or none of that stuff affect my trading. And in today's video, I want to share with you guys how I've been able to achieve this and somewhat conquer psychology. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So before I get into all of these statistics and metrics and so on, that it would be best to understand to master psychology, we're going to discuss a bit why I think most retail traders suffer from psychology, why they never escape it, and the root fundamental cause of bad psychology. So most traders, I believe, are in this right here. Let me know if this sounds familiar to you. So you make money for a few days or a few weeks, and then you may enter a little bad patch. So you probably start losing a few trades, or you missed you took a trade and it missed your take profit by only a few pips and turned out and reversed and probably stop you out, or you should have taken a trade but you missed the trade and it turned out that that trade would have hit take profit. In general, you make a mistake that you regret or something like that, or your trading is not performing as good, and then out of nowhere you spiral, you blow your account, or if you trade prop firms, you blow your prop firm challenge, and then you essentially repeat the process again. You make money for a few days and few weeks, and then something like this happens. You enter a bad patch, a losing streak, you miss your take profit by a few pips or whatever, and then you spiral and blow your account. This is what I call the dead loop, and I believe that 95% of traders experience this right here. And I was once in this loop. I was a trader who just went in this cycle over and over and over again for months on top of months. But I'm no longer in that cycle. I will tell you guys exactly what I did and how I did it. Now, before you master your psychology, the first thing you must do is understand what is triggering these behaviors. So when you overtrade, when you revenge trade, when you feel all of these emotions coming on and you break your rules, what causes this? And I believe, I have a very strong belief that this is caused by your subconscious missing two very important information. I'm not going to get into the spiritual world or anything like that. Your subconscious just literally means something that is happening in your mind that you're not consciously aware of. So it is happening in the back of your head, but you don't even realize it. That's what I mean by subconscious in this context. And the two things that I believe affect most traders without them realizing is false expectations and lack of confidence in their systems. If you suffer from psychology, if you find yourself in this dead loop, this cycle where you trade good for a few weeks and then you just spiral and blow up and do that again and again, there is a very high probability that you lack two of these. You lack confidence in your system, or you have false expectations for trading. Now, false expectations for your trading, it is usually created simply when you just don't have enough data or information on your system. If I am to ask you right now, if you're watching this video and I am to say to you, like, on average, how much do you expect your strategy could return if I give you a 100k account over the next 5 years? What would be your average monthly return, your average yearly return? What could your drawdowns look like, and so on and so forth? What is your win rate, your profit factor, and all of that stuff? What is your trade frequency? If I am to ask the average trader that, they have no idea how to answer me. They could not show me Excel spreadsheet or some data software to say that this is my future performance that I expect. If you do not have this, it is so easy to spiral once you enter a drawdown or you see returns that you're not pleased with, or etc. So you need to know, like, what is your what is a realistic future return? Is your system robust? So the parameters are stable, it has been good on unseen data, and so on. You need to understand your drawdowns, your win rate, your trade frequency, and so on, as mentioned. So once you don't understand these stuff, this means that you have false expectations in trading. What you expect trading can do for you is probably not the reality, and as a result, this can easily cause you to spiral. And again, this trigger is something that if you are not consciously analyzing and thinking about it, you will not even realize. You will just spiral and say, what's this? What's causing me to overtrade, revenge trade, and break my rules? It is this right here. It is false expectation. It's because you don't know your future return. You don't know how robust your system is. You don't understand your drawdowns, your win rate, your trade frequency, your profit factor, your Sharpe ratio. You don't understand most of that. And that is a major cause of bad psychology. And the second is lack of confidence in your system. And this mostly stems from not having good expectations, but it is a separate issue. So you doubt your future return subconsciously. Like I may ask the average trader, do you think you have a strategy that can make money? And they will answer me, yes, I know I can make money. I just need to fix my psychology. That's what they are saying, but subconsciously they do not know that they can make money. They are just saying that. And why do they not know that they can make money? Because they have no information on their system. They have no data. So as a result, subconsciously in the back of their head, whenever they start to enter drawdowns, they doubt their returns. They say, hey, this trading stuff, I'm just going to go all or nothing. I'm just going to try to make back my money. And again, this is something that you don't realize or aware of in the moment. It is just happening in the back of your head. And I know this because I used to go through the exact same thing, and I've spoken with a lot of traders, and after talking to them, they realized that this was an issue that they were unaware of. So if you are in the dead loop, ask yourself these two questions. Do I have a realistic future expectation of my returns? Do I understand what I can expect to make in the future from trading? Do I know my win rate, my trade frequency, my drawdowns, and all of that stuff? If the answer is no, you're probably just going to lose money over the long run. And the next one is ensure that you have confidence in your system. When you experience a drawdown, you need to be confident that, hey, I'm going to get out of this drawdown because I have all the data and I know exactly what to expect. This is just theory. This is just empty information if you don't know how to apply it. And in this video, I will show you exactly what I do to basically ensure that my expectations are realistic and that I have a lot of confidence in my system. And I do it basically all through this software, so everything is automated for me. So first of all, you need to get the most important data on your system. Not knowing these subconsciously feed the two demons. That's what I'm going to call them in this video, demons. And those two demons are fear and greed. Those are the two most dangerous emotions in trading, and they're responsible for your over leveraging, your over trading, your revenge trading, FOMO, all of that stuff. They stem from fear and greed, right? And if you don't have the most important data on your system, they will always come back to haunt you. That's the only way you can make these demons disappear. So how do you deal with this first emotion, which is an emotion of fear? First of all, you need to understand your drawdown and your loss structure. And what do I mean by this? The emotion of fear, it usually stems from losses. That's usually what triggers fear. Whenever you're losing, whenever you're not making any money, fear starts to take over. And to deal with this, you need to understand exactly how your system behaves from a losing perspective, right? So for instance, if you are watching this video, tell me if you can answer this question. How frequently do you experience drawdowns? And you can pause this video and think about it for a second. Do you know how frequently you experience a drawdown? Do you know how long those drawdowns usually last? So say you're down 5%. How long does it usually take for you to get out of that 5% drawdown? What is the longest drawdown you've ever had? Going back, say, 10 years, right? through backtesting, what can you expect to be the worst case drawdown? So say worst case scenario happens in real life, what can you expect that drawdown to be? Can you answer those questions? If you cannot answer those questions, my friend, fear will always take you over, because you truly don't understand your system and you don't have realistic expectations of the markets. And I solve these by ensuring that my system answers every single one of these questions. So the first question, how frequently do you experience drawdowns? If I go to my system here, my system, this is a portfolio that I currently have that's trading FTMO. So on my FTMO account, my system tells me this here, how frequently do I experience a drawdown? My system tells me that I will get a greater than 2% or more drawdown every 57 to 100 days. So basically every 2 to 3 months, I can expect that I will enter a drawdown that is 2% or more. So what does that mean? That means that, say I'm currently in profit at the moment, I'm up 4%. My system tells me that in the next 2 to 3 months, there is a very high probability that I am going to experience a 2% drawdown. So a drawdown will happen. That is what my system is telling me. So whenever I do encounter that drawdown, I am not surprised, because my system has told me that the drawdown is coming. You cannot avoid it. That is the strategy you trade. You can expect a 2% or more drawdown every 2 to 3 months, right? The next question, how long do those drawdowns usually last? So whenever I enter this 2% drawdown, how long does it usually last? And my system tells me that this drawdown usually lasts anywhere between 44 days to 65 days. So my drawdowns usually last about 2.5 months thereabout. So when I enter a 2% drawdown, I know that it will last anywhere between 2.5 months thereabout. That is a normal drawdown for me. I have that information on my system. So when I'm in a drawdown, I can expect this is how long it will last. The next question is, what is the longest drawdown you have ever had? The longest drawdown this portfolio has had is a maximum drawdown of 110 days, which is about, give or take, 4 months, right? So for 4 months, this strategy did not make any money. It was in drawdown. It took 4 months to get back out of drawdown, right? So I know that about my system. So if I'm in a 2-month drawdown, I'm not worried, because I know that in the past I've experienced a 4-month drawdown. So a 2-month drawdown is normal. And what can you expect the worst case drawdown to be? I have this information on my system, and I hope you see where I'm going with this. Essentially, what I'm doing here is I created a system that whatever happens in reality, I ask myself, is this expected? Is this normal? And my system will tell me that this is expected, this is normal, so it puts my mind at ease. But imagine you don't know this information. You enter a drawdown, uncertainty is clouding your mind, is clouding your judgment. You don't know if this drawdown is normal. Like, you don't know what to expect in the future, or none of that stuff. But when you have all of this information, it limits that fear. It puts fear aside, right? It puts your mind at ease. So you must have a system that can give you all of this information. The next way to deal with fear is understanding your loss frequency. Nobody likes losses in trading, right? Everybody wants a high win rate strategy, but the reality is, if you want to be a trader, you have to bear losses, right? You have different types of strategies that are suited for different types of people. My strategy, for example, this portfolio has a 46% win rate. So I can say for every 100 trade I take, I'm going to win 46, but I'm going to lose 54. In that 54 trades that I lose for every 100 trades that I take, you want to know what is the average consecutive losses, right? Because nobody, imagine you're taking a trade, or your system is taking a trade, and it loses one trade, then it loses another, then another, then another. You need to ask yourself, is this normal, right? I just lost 4 trades back to back. Did this happen in the past, right? You're getting all of this information on your system, and it's putting your mind at ease. If you know that in the past, for example, I had a max consecutive loss of 16 trades. So for 16 trades in a row, my strategy was just losing. But guess what? I still recovered. So it shows that I can lose 16 trades in a row and my strategy will still make money. If I show you the equity curve here, you can see this is what the equity curve looks like. If I go to all time, this is data from 2018. So you can see that my equity curve goes up. Somewhere in this equity curve here, I lost 16 trades in a row. But you can see that over the long run, I can be confident that I will recover from that 16 trade loss. The average consecutive losses is between 1 to 7. So I can expect on average a 2 trade or a 3 trade or 4 trade back-to-back loss to be normal. That is what I can expect with this system right here. And again, this puts your mind at ease whenever you're losing. No one likes to lose in trading, but unfortunately, it's something that has to happen. So you need a system that can put your mind at ease whenever you're experiencing these losses. The next thing is regime change. This is another one. So people doubt whether their future, and even if you have all the data on your system, this is a fear that will probably still exist, but again, you can control it. The markets evolve and change over time and you have to adapt, right? So a fear could be that you are doubting if your strategy or your portfolio strategy will continue to perform in the future, or if your strategy is outdated, it has stopped working and all of that stuff. Once again, you can build a system that tracks all of this. So I have a system here that literally tracks how my strategy is performing over time. Is it degrading? Is it performing as it should? And once this system tells me that this strategy right now, it has degraded, it is not good again, I just ditch it, right? And then I adapt, I change the strategy and so on. So again, even regime change, I'm not really worried about, because my system will tell me when my strategy has degraded so much and it's not good again, I need to change it or whatever. My system will tell me this. So once again, it eases fear, and that's how you deal with fear in trading. Remember, fear mostly stems from losing and drawdowns. That's when the emotion of fear takes over. Whenever you take a trade and you lose, whenever you miss a trade that you've seen would have hit take profit, that's where this fear stems from. And having an answer to all of these questions that you dispassionately believe and trust can help you to deal with this fear. So I hope you see from this so far why in the start of the video when I said I have not had a psychological issue since April, this is why. I understand my system like the back of my hands, right? The next emotion is greed, and everyone is different. For me personally, I've never had a problem with greed. So greed is not a huge deal for me, and I believe that for most people it's the same. Like, most people can handle and control themselves when they're winning. Obviously not everyone, but most people are a better winner than they are a better loser. So with winning, the way that you can control greed is basically doing the opposite of fear, right? You need to understand your win distribution. You need to understand like how your returns are. So what is your maximum consecutive wins, right? So once again, my system gives me this information. I know that my maximum consecutive wins is 12 trades. So if I'm on a 6-7 trade winning streak, and I know that, okay, this is normal, this is what I expected. Say I'm now on a 15 trade winning streak. Like, this is something that I need to relax and I need to be humble, because it has shown me that since 2018 I've only had a 12 trade winning streak. So I would need to relax. And then you can see also your average consecutive wins, which for my system it's between 1 and 6. So on average, my winning streak, I can expect anywhere between say 3 and 4 for my average consecutive winning streak, right? It would be normal for me to win 3 trades back to back or 4 trades back to back, right? So that's what that gives me. And you can also look at things I do. Good returns tend to be followed by more good return, or mean reverse. And what you realize is when you get really good returns, and I also have information on this on my system, I can look at my monthly return distribution. So what you realize when you analyze your return distribution and things like this, you will realize that whenever you're getting good returns, usually after a few months or so, it is followed by bad returns. So whenever you're performing good, a lot of times after a few months, your performance is essentially mean reverse to the average. So this is a way that you can fight greed. Again, this is not a major issue for me. maybe for a lot of people it's not to say maybe you struggle with greed or whatnot. You can find whatever way you need to resolve greed, but this is just my experience. That is how I deal with greed. And again, that has not been a problem for me, but this is just some things that you can look at to really understand and master the emotion of greed so it does not take you over. And that is really and truly how you fix your psychology. Obviously, it's a process, it's not something that's going to happen overnight, right? It took me months on top of months to build all of this system right here, all of these metrics to analyze all of this stuff. This took me months and months to build. So I'm not here telling you that after you finish watching this video your psychology is going to be fixed and you're going to be a millionaire or any of that stuff. It takes months, it takes a lot of work and sleepless nights and so on to actually do this. But I just want you to know that it is possible and it can be done, and this is how you can go about doing this. Let psychology be a thing of the past. So once you understand the concepts that I just mentioned there, your psychology may be permanently fixed. You still will experience emotions. That's something that I want to make clear. Doing all of this does not mean that you're emotionless. To this day, sometimes I am tempted to still close out a trade when it's in a lot of profit. I algo trade, so I can see my algos trade and I'm like, I want to take profit early on this trade. I know better than my algo. Sometimes I want to remove systems, I want to change this, I want to tweak this, and I want to do all of that stuff. So the emotions, it still exists, and I have accepted that the emotions will never disappear. But what happens is that I have just become a lot better at keeping them under control. This is what changes when your psychology is fixed. Your emotions don't disappear, you just learn to keep them under control. And why is that? Because you have a solid expectation as to what is realistic, and you have confidence in your system. This is why you can keep your emotions under control. If you don't have these, you're just going to spiral as soon as adversity hits, right? So without this, subconsciously fear and greed will always reign. If you're still watching this video, I mean, kudos to you. You made it through the full end. But I don't want you to just watch this video and then go about your day and completely forget everything. Like, make a note of some things that I am saying and actually apply it, because I'm telling you that it works. I am proof that it works. So please just apply the concepts that I say from this video. Ensure that you don't have false expectations for the future. Ensure that you have confidence in your systems and in your process and so forth. And you do this by building a system that tracks all of the important data points. Your drawdown, you want to understand your drawdowns, your win rate, your profit factor, and so forth. What returns, what average yearly return can you expect? What can you expect a bad month to look like? What can you expect a good month to look like, and so forth. All of these control your expectations, and as a result builds your confidence in your system. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something from this. With that being said, peace and trade safe.